Okay. Let me see. It looks like people are starting to pop in the chat, and my cat just rolled over my keyboard. Muted my mic, and or I think just my volume, and then just open a calculator. I don't know how she did it. Indoor, lay down. Just looking at me all funny. She's excited to be in this stream. Let me get some of the comments. What's up, Jared Punch? Happy birthday to you. Hope you're having a good birthday today. Hassan Muhammad, God, you'll S tier, and that's a fact. Oh, well, oh, hang on. I got the audio going in the stream. Hang on. Roll over my keyboard. There we go. I don't want that double played much back in the stream, but we'll talk about where Godjil sits, because this is gonna be a little bit more harsh, I think, for certain characters, given that this is specifically one for Dragon Slayers, and most Dragon Slayers are pretty high up on the large scale of the series, so we're gonna have to edge between lines pretty pretty fairly. Unless we're talking about strength, and he put him in A. This is about strength. We're doing off of levels. Oh, you can see in the stream too. It was messing the video because I think I clicked on something else. Either way. How's it going, Gear End? Diego Lopez, how are you? The Bear, how's it going with you guys? Very tall, War Arc Fire. Yeah, you just finished Alvarez. Some of this stuff was really nice in the anime. You got to see, like, Sema was beefed up the hell in the anime. They made August a lot more formidable, which I was happy about that. I mean, he was always formidable, and just like the way his magic works. But you got to see more of it in the anime. Like, they showed more of his spells, which I was really happy about. Because with Zeref, it's like, you knew he was trying to have a good match against Natsu, and his magic is more, like, his danger is, like, that he's immortal, he knows all these broken magics, whereas August knew more magics total, whereas Zeref specifically knew and mastered all black magic. But so it was weird not seeing August drop a lot of spells, like, in general. It was odd when his whole thing specifically was on having a lot of spells. I always looked at it more of, like, Mishima had to pick and choose near the end, because I do think he was rushing, but it was like he's got to pick two, and he picked Irene and Zera Focus over August and Acnology, which I always was understood to a degree. The unfortunate trade-up that I think had happened, but I don't really know obviously off of, like, outright material. It's just speculation. But yeah, we'll definitely get to some higher end stuff. The Acnology's backstory in the anime especially was, like, the best part about it. Not to be too strong, being that main character and all. He's definitely... Listen, we're going to be getting to some of these high-up positions. And I just wanted to mention a little bit beforehand. I might steal this video idea for the future. Go ahead. I don't mind. I mean, this is tier list maker. I didn't invent these. But I was thinking about doing it after this next chapter. Because I wanted to see, obviously, like, Suzaku is about to assumingly fight unless, for whatever reason, we don't get a Natsu and Suzaku-focused chapter. But, assuming so, then I wanted to do a video before that to see afterwards, like, how close I was on Suzaku's level of strength. Because for the most part, I think I can get a lot of these characters. The only ones that are going to be odd are obviously the ones that are, that we haven't seen and we're not going to see for a bit, specifically Elsary and Georg. We're not going to see them for a hot minute. Whereas Suzaku, we're about to see him, Nibaru and Wraith. We have, for the most part, all we really need to see. Wraith, I would have liked just to see maybe a couple more techniques, and we saw up to Dragon Force for Nibaru, so we should be good on that. Like, this is going to be really high up. Yeah, I mean, it's just Laxus. Honestly, most of them are S tier. I mean, in the overall world, but we got to look at them compared to each other. And so, that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk a little bit before we got to it, because it's not just on, I'd say, raw power. We got to look at the dragon slaying types as well, and what like that type specifically gives to them. I think is one of the bigger things that's going to happen in here. But another thing is I wanted to have, for anybody who hasn't noticed, I have Sting and Rogue individually, and then I have a spot that is Sting and Rogue. Because Sting and Rogue are two characters that are very weird in the fact that they're actually stronger when they're in proximity to each other. You see that on display in their spin-off, like Rogue and Sting just being within range of each other get more powerful. And I think that's just because they work so well together, and the whole unison raid aspect, I think, plays a larger role in their overall level set when it comes to getting their full power. Old Man Dragon sus. I mean, elfary, 100%. Can really include the ones from Dragon Hunting Guild since we haven't seen their full power yet. I mean, that's what we're doing stuff so far. I mean, like, we haven't even seen, like, say, like, Natsu's transcended magic yet. We haven't seen much from Uzaku. I'm just going off of current and what kind of information we know of. Because, like, with Georg's going to be a weird one that I'm just going to kind of make some guess. But Uzaku has at least a little bit of information on him that we can, we can get at, like, a good understanding of where he at least might sit. So let's start it up with some mercenary. How's it going? And see, who should we start with today? Who do you guys think we should start with? I'll let you guys in the chat decide the first person today. Because there's not a ton of characters we're obviously using, but it's a big weird set of roster that we have. Actually, you know what? Actually, no. You guys go first. I'll pick a second one. We'll just see what people in the chat have to say. Just put Asta on the top floor list. So no, he doesn't. Jada Geek, you're ridiculous. Like, Dragon Slayers are Asta's worst set of opponents. It's like, he can't, like, he can negate aspects of magic. And one, it's a potency thing. It's not like he doesn't have a cap. But also, he can't negate, like, the raw physical aspects. He's going to try and block something. And then, like, that raw force is just going to push back on his arms and snap him like twigs. Dude, stop spamming or I'm going to have to ban you from my chat. Or at least time you out. Don't spam, dude. Asta's Nindis, he's not a Dragon Slayer. Okay, I'm gonna time out. Hang on. Where's the timeout option? Oh, it's because I've got it in. One second, I go through. I gotta go through YouTube instead of. I had it on Streamlabs. Here, I'm gonna give Sinbad a mod if I need an active person. Anyway, there we go. Most undervalued. I'm gonna start with God Serena. God Serena could be a pretty solid early one when he gets Urza Mom's powers in 100 Years Quest. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but I'll go into it when I get to Wendy. Because Wendy's a really hard placement in all honesty. You have to really look at Wendy realistically, especially as a Dragon Slayer. So let's see. I see Eric, Wendy, God Serena. I'll go with God Serena because God Serena was who I was thinking of as well. I don't know why, like, Streamlabs, it'll like have that part where it'll just kind of flash over to like a different picture. It just goes to Yoko. So I'll go with God Serena. God Serena is like weird because he's kind of broken, but he's not broken in, say, like, look at someone like Wraith. Like, Wraith has soul abilities, and unless you're a Dragon Slayer, or I would assume if you have an ability specifically that lets you see spirits or ghosts and stuff, I wouldn't imagine you would be able to do anything about him. Whereas God Serena has, like, a level of hacks just in the fact that he has 8 elements. We only know 5 of them. We know fire, water, earth, wind, and you see at one point he's got lightning on his hand. So that's still 5 base elements that he has, which includes water, air, and earth. So enough drinking water, enough literally just eating rocks off the ground, enough deep breathing can replenish his magic and stamina. And he's got, like, a pretty strong raw power, because obviously, like, not only is he a Dragon Slayer, but he's Spriggan level. So to a lot of people, he's going to be just a terror to fight. Like, you have to get around his elemental, like, eating, stamina, magic replenishing. He's got his own level of just raw power, and he's just not going to stop. He's going to keep going. It's kind of like how, I would imagine to a degree, it'd be kind of like trying to fight Hades if you don't destroy his heart. Where you can get God Serena or Hades down, but if you don't end up preventing them from getting, that replenishment of power, they're just going to get back up. Because think about it like times where, like, Natsu was, low on magic, hurt, had low on energy. But if, like, just think of, like, the fight with Gajo, and then he was able to get some fire, he got his magic and everything back up, and he was able to keep fighting. Like, God Serena is really dangerous. The thing about God Serena that really hurts him in an overall listing is that he doesn't really have any hacks. Like, he just has the base elements. We never really saw any perks from those elements, and we don't know any perks that come with them. The only one you could maybe think of is, like, because he has Dragon Fire, like, maybe he could burn magic, but we never saw any indications of that. And he is a Lacrima-based Dragon Slayer, so he's not even a pure Dragon Slayer on top of that. August defeat was disappointing. Yeah, like I said, I think my personal belief is that Mishima had a set idea that he wanted to end it to get the arc over with, because I think there was something going on behind the scenes I can't know, because I don't know for a fact. That's just a theory. And I think he had to prioritize between one set being Zeref and Acnologia, and one set being Irene and August. And I think he picked what I would pick, Irene and Zeref, because overall, like, Zeref and Irene are two of the three most important characters, like, in the whole story, the whole structure of the story. The only other person being Acnologia, but, like, Zeref has so much more widespread stuff and ties to the story that I would rather him be the one that he finished out as strongly as he did than Acnologia. And the thing, though, Acnologia that he's been doing on 100 Years Quest that I have really liked is he's using the influence of Acnologia to kind of, like, expand upon things. Because that was one of the aspects of Acnologia to a degree that was greater than Zeref, and it was just like the kind of like level of threat that was just carried over the idea of him. Do you have a link to this tier list? I'll post it in the after the stream. I'll post it on, like, right under the Twitter post. So if you guys want to do your own, but God Serena, I want to give God Serena a pretty good placing on here, just because, like, regardless of his lack of hacks, he's still a pretty strong choice, and I'm kind of going to put him, like, I kind of want to put him B. Like, he's a solid B, because, like, again, one of the things about him that never really got expanded upon him is the general spread of his moveset and capabilities outside of basic aspects that we know. Like I said, he has the feats of taking down the Jura and the gods of Ishgal. Like, he's got that, like, power proving level of feat that goes with his ability as a, being somebody Spriggan level. And then, like I said, he essentially has a way to have infinite stamina while fighting, infinite magic and stamina, but he has nothing beyond that. He doesn't have any real perks to his magic. He doesn't have anything like saying Dragon Force. Like, it's likely to say that he does have Dragon Force just because it's general level, but you'd have to keep in mind it's second generation Dragon Force on top of that. It's not the same as, like, something like Natsu's, where we've seen absurd jumps. Second, like, based off Lacrima Dragon Force, you look back at what Laxus used in the Fighting Festival, you look at Cobra in the Erasion Space Arc, the Dragon Slaying boost from Lacrima-based Dragon Force, like, getting it from second gen type of, like, placing, is not that big. Like, and then you look at something like Sting and Rogue. Sting and Rogue were third gens and using Dragon Force, so it was a combination. Obviously, they're first and second, but it was still Lacrima-based Dragon Force. And when you look at that boost that he got, that he's using against Natsu and Gagil, it was bigger than what Laxus and Cobra got, but it wasn't even close to what Natsu had the times he fought Jalal or Zero. So we don't have a lot beyond baseline Spriggan level, 5 out of 8 elements, 0 really dangerous things to work with. He's just somebody that's just going to be hard to take down, but he has no real danger outside of, as I said, like, high stamina and big power across a couple elements. If he had shown perks towards each of the elements he has, each type he has, he would easily get A tier. Like, just based off of just the feats he has now. Like, not even going off of, like, needing to see extra fights with them or seeing anything crazy. If we just saw a couple more general showings of like, each type he had, or even if he had a good Dragon Force, or even if he had a hybrid mode with all of his elements at the same time, there were things that could have really put him higher on this list. But he himself doesn't give enough information that we need, I think, to put him in the bigger spots on this list. Oh, I think it's whenever I click something, I think it's whenever I click from screen to screen, it shows, like, Yoko for some reason. It shows the picture that is placed behind this window. But yeah, he is fair, but I wouldn't say he's that impressive. Because the only thing we really have for him in terms of like the biggest trait, I'd say, is just that he is Spriggan level. But Spriggan level can stretch pretty far, and one of the things about this, like the Spriggan, is they're all pretty hacks. They all have really good magic on top of having a lot of magic and having stats and abilities that sit at that level. Godstrain doesn't have any of that. Like I said, the only real danger he has when you think about fighting him is that he can almost perpetually stay fighting until you take him down. Like, unless you can somehow prevent him from just getting more magic, or you have a way to erase him, or like really one-shot him, then you're not doing a whole lot. Okay, who should we do next? Who should we do next on the list? Seen people say, talk about Cobra. See, Cobra... Okay, we'll talk about Cobra. Cobra is one of the examples of where I think second generation Dragon Slayers strive really well in. And it's that having magic like fairly varied outside of just your dragon slaying magic. He has his whole hearing magic, which is amazing by itself. You have a borderline level of precognition where you can hear somebody's thoughts and actions they're going to perform from their heart. And it has general just enhanced hearing abilities like as well. Like you could just maybe hear someone sneaking up on you. But he also developed sound manipulation based abilities that we saw in the Starry Sky arc. Cobra is actually pretty well-rounded in his moveset. And that's one of the things that you have to really look at characters when you gauge them overall. Because say like, you can say, you know, one character has, you know, raw more powerful than the other, but it doesn't really matter, God, Serena, if other characters can beat out that kind of power jump or a power gap with like just general better abilities or better hacks or a more rounded moveset. Look at someone like Yoko, not a Dragon Slayer, but somebody that we saw recently. She doesn't have that crazy of abilities, but her moveset is really well structured. She has just the infinite yokai spam that she's going to continuously keep throwing minions and minions and minions at you, and then some of them even have their own ability perks and dangers that are, exclusive to them. That's going to make fighting them more tricky. She has flight to get away from you if you try and attack her, and then if you try and attack her beyond, even more so, she has like the whole Shikigami like fake outs that will prevent her from getting attacked. And if you somehow make it, press her enough, then she's going to, make herself into a yokai and just decide to attack you physically. And her physical attack and a capability on that point is able to mess with Urza. So she has like a really good rounded moveset. Cobra is similar in that he has the hearing magic, but he was able to not only overcome the weakness to it, but he was able to overcome that weakness and turn it to an offensive plus. He was able to have that whole like, loud enough sound, he can just reflect it back at somebody and do more damage with that attack. He's got Poison Dragon Slaying, so he can void durability. He's just an all-around really good fighter, as we've seen. Cobra is actually really dangerous. Cobra would actually rank... If Cobra still had Cubelius, like, had Hinata as his, as his riding companion, because she was treated at the time of more of like a familiar rather than, or more like a pet rather than like a familiar or like an extra character. Because like with Happy is his own character. Like Natsu doesn't see him even as a pet. He is his own character that is adjacent to Natsu. Whereas something like, your pet companion is different. So if we had Cubelius, like Hinata as Cubelius, like, Cobra would rank higher. But I kind of want to put Cobra in B tier as well. Because again, the thing about Cobra is he doesn't have a lot of really outstanding feats, but he does have some pretty good ones, as we've seen his general level at fighting people like Urza, fighting Gajeel, because he fought Gajeel before the Alvarez time skip, so obviously like he is fairly strong, keeping up and damaging, and Jalal during Tartarus as well. He didn't really get much for feats in Alvarez, and I think that's one of the things that kind of hurts him on the list, because he didn't really do like anything in Alvarez. It was kind of like a couple moments he showed up, and then got defeated by August, and then was in the fight with Acnologia. I mean, really being able to keep up with characters like Laxus and Natsu and everything in Alvarez is really his best speed feat. So I would definitely put him up there with God Serena. But the thing about like him and God Serena area people is he just like Cobra doesn't have enough progressed abilities, I'd say, to put him above God Serena. I think he has the potential for it to be above him because poison dry and some poison's completely different than raw energy. His just high amplified abilities with his hearing magic, as well as, like I said, speed-wise, he's actually pretty good, as we've seen him. We've seen him keep up with really fast characters, so that's really good on top of that. Yeah, if Cobra got something new, say Cobra got like a new ability or a new form or whatever, in Alvarez or current story, he would have probably ranked higher than God Serena. Because, like, similar to him and God Serena, they're both characters that I think don't place that well just because we don't get enough content of them. Like, if we saw more of God Serena, we probably would know his other elements, so that would boost his capabilities by itself. Like, if we three more elements, three more ways that benefits the biggest trait about him, like I said, is that he can continuously fight in a way for a long time. Potentially forever if he could just keep replenishing magic and stamina. Let me scroll up in the chat, and then we'll get to we'll start looking at the next one. Yeah, Cobra does need some love for your year's quest. I wouldn't put him in D. Like he has a really good moveset. Because like think about it. You have a guy who is a close combat, precognition, durability voiding guy that if you somehow try and implement the best way to defeat somebody with super hearing is through sound. We saw that the first time Cobra fought Natsu and lost. But if you try it against him, he's just gonna snap his fingers and reflect it back at you, and then he can try and hit you with his poison. And again, poison is completely different than raw energy. It's gonna deteriorate you from your inside. No, his best feat isn't getting blown in back. No, his best feat is keeping up with, other big characters like Laxus, Natsu, Gagio, and everybody. He kept up with them, so it helped him speed-wise, and he doesn't have to have a whole lot power-wise, because, again, poison. Where's my girl Irene? Irene is on here. I made sure to double-check, because I wanted to forget anybody, so I just looked at the wiki list, and then I was so tempted to put what's the guy's name, Toparge or whatever from the Twin Knights of Sabretooth spinoff, but I was like, he's technically never called the Dragon Slayer, so I didn't really want to use him. God Serena was pretty trash. The problem is he just didn't get enough shown. Like, he did not get a lot of screen time. We get 20 likes. I would appreciate some more likes. We got 29 people in here. Got 16 likes. Easy, quick and easy time to chill. I would appreciate everyone if they could thumbs up the stream. Like I said, the weeks that not like I said, I don't think I've talked about it all yet. My plan is really, like with this style, is to have more of the kind of fun offset streams, like tier lists. I'm going to do another fighting stream soon. I'm trying to get Broku for that. I want to do some Black Clover versus Fairy Tail ones. There's one that I really want to talk about that I have, that I think I have a pretty good stance on, is Hades versus the Black Bulls. Because I got to do a Hades video first. Because Hades is super underestimated, just given his feats. Because, like, granted, he wasn't as broken as, say, Spriggan, but I think power and feat-wise, he is somewhere around Spriggan level, like low Spriggan level. And so I might do a video on that before then. But I wanted, because we didn't really get a whole lot of stuff within this last week of content. Unfortunately for me, I lost Build King, so I don't get that to talk about this week. So it's mostly like I'm hyped up for other stuff like Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, I want to read that and Undead Unluck. Those are fun as well on my channel. But Black Clover was the only other one that gets me really excited for the Sundays, and I really liked Build King, but unfortunately didn't get it got axed too soon. I'm gonna check out that Candy Flurry manga. It looks weird. It reminds me of Dolly Kill Kill. So I've got my eye over there. I'm probably gonna review that tomorrow. I like the main character. She looks kind of cool. Let's see. I think this is a power ranking. It's kind of like a combination of both, because it's like power, but I also want to take into their abilities, like, in total. Oh, yeah, the villain guy's got his own list. Well, I'm going to comment on that when I get further down here. Leopold Natsu, no. Jet and Droid, great, no. Come on, man. Make some serious ones. Ultimate Echo versus Cobra. What are Ultimate Echo's best feats even? Like, I know he's a sound dude, but I don't know, like, if he's got anything crazy that Cobra wouldn't be able just to deal with. Because I know Ben 10 power levels, for the most part, are really grounded, and then you get just randomly spiking, like, Alien X, and then you have, like, Jet Ray and Accelerate having, like, faster than light speeds across space. Gajo's also kind of mid. Oh, I wouldn't say that. I would... We'll get to Gajo in a second. Actually, you gotta put Cobra in C. No, Cobra, like I said, Cobra has actually got some solid stats to back up being where he's at. Yeah, Cobra's the only one who isn't returned yet. Cobra's been sitting around. I want to see what he's doing. Kyria next? I can do Kyria. Yeah, Kyria... Okay. See, Kyria is a good example of really looking at the total picture of a character and their capabilities before you really understand their power set. When we first got Kyria, we had no idea how powerful she was. Like, we saw that Sea Serpent. Before the Sea Serpent was confirmed at not being the Dragon God, it was like, did Kyria just one-shot an Acton Logia level person? You wasn't sure because it was still a little bit vague and left, unanswered. Then it's like, okay, it was just a Water Serpent. But she also blocked an attack from Natsu, or Natsu blocked an attack from her, and it's not like he did it super casually. Like, he was underwater, he couldn't use his fire at the time. But it's still something that would require a good level of power and capability to do, to kind of just have Natsu on guard like that. And then we saw her, like, clashing with Urza. We saw, like, her at least taking some hits and confident she could fight Laxus. But Laxus was the good person to check her. So when she fought Urza, it was that her hypnosis, is a hacks thing. It's not a stat-based thing. It's entirely like a weird ocular-based hacks. So when Urza got loose of that, and we saw her fight Kyria without her eye, vulnerable to a trick, she was able to press Kyria pretty well, and that was like, okay, well, where is she fully ranked compared to Urza? Then we got the Laxus fight. Laxus bodied her, and Urza almost beat Laxus. So in reality, Kyria, whose level was really weirdly high at the start, like just based on what we knew, is actually not nearly as powerful as those initial thoughts. She's a fair chunk weaker than Urza, because Laxus used, granted, a special art, but he didn't use his red lightning, and he didn't really look that stressed fighting her. So I personally think Kyria is C tier. We don't know her Dragon Force. That is one thing we have to, like I said, keep in mind. We're going off of current things. We're going off of what we know about these characters, not like where are they at maybe, and then like hypotheticals like Dragon Force. Because again, we don't know where they set. If we like say a understanding of like how much their Dragon Force, like the 5th gen Dragon Force boosts, or how much like if what kind of ability she would get with it, that'd be one thing. But Kyria really doesn't have a whole lot going for her, because like even her Dragon Sling abilities, she doesn't have that impressive of feats. Like, it's really just like clashing with Urza a bit, getting back up against Laxus, and then she's got Hypnosis. Like, she's not that impressive currently, and personally, I think that she is the weakest out of Diablos right now. I would definitely give it to Kyria. But I don't think that she is gonna stay the weakest. Again, Dragon Force is a big factor. We know that she has like a road ahead of her, like with probably more confrontations with Urza and Laxus. So she has a future. It really is just gonna depend on like where her moveset comes later. Let me see. Honestly, Kyria is going to be the next Dragon Force. I can see it, because like Dragon Force is such a wild card ability with a lot of the Dragon Slayers, because like there's a big power gap between different ways of Dragon Forces being obtained. There's like the version where you're just eating a raw enough amount of energy that it puts you in Dragon Force, like we saw with, say, Wendy eating magic around face from the Ether Nano, Gajo eating the anti-magic Bane particles. Natsu eating Ethereon, Flame of Rebuke, stuff like that provides like a really high level of just raw energy boost. And then we've seen, like I said, Lacrima based ones not as big. 5th gen just seems to like accelerate it way faster, but they lose control. But I would wonder like how exactly that really plays out if you gain anything kind of crazy, like if you become like full dragon. Because one thing about Nibiru is Nibiru wasn't stopped. Nibiru was stopped before it was fully transformed. And on top of that, we didn't see him do anything really that crazy in the process. He just was way more powerful. We didn't see him gain any new abilities or have any like crazy hacks on top of what he had before. So we'll see exactly where that goes right now. All of the, Dragon Force is, like, all these guys with Dragon Force are a wild card and dangerous. So it's just going to be a little bit, in time to see. Alright, who should I pick next? Let me look at some more of the comments. The first to bring up Madbull versus Mimi, now Rax's interest in that even mentioned in the video. I would love to see Madbull versus Mimi. I don't know if you're the one that first thought of it. It's like it's such a good note. I think personally, just on that call, because it's such a weird matchup. You have this armored Dragon Slayer who's very physically strong and sturdy against this character whose whole thing is about displaying how she's physically strong and sturdy. I'm really hoping Mishima goes through with that, and you should take credit in that if it does happen, because I think it'll be pretty funny. Kyria smoking Cobra? I don't think so. Like I said, Cobra has the speed feats, and he's got precognition. And he's going to know about Kyria's hypnosis before she does it, because he's got hearing magic. And if he takes away, because he doesn't have to have his eyes open even to fight, he can just close his one working eye. Bam. Counters Kyria's best move right now. Kyria doesn't really have anything crazy at the moment for feats. It's mostly like a couple good physical feats, and then she's got her hypnosis. Granted, Cobra doesn't have a wide set moveset, but he has a rounded moveset that he benefits a lot from. Like, think about that. You have a poison guy who can figure out what you're doing like before you actually do it, and then he just has to move in and he has to just poison you. Have you reread Shibuya since it ended? I haven't. I'm going to do that at some point. Ultimate Echo beat Ultimate Kevin. I don't know where he stood either. Where was Ultimate Kevin at? Because like I said, the power levels in Ben 10 are really kind of scattered, and then you get to like the really big people. You get to like the really broken guys. Rex, you had a video ranking the Spriggan 12. I might do Spriggan level characters if I do one. Because there are characters that, like, I think fit into Spriggan level. I'd probably do one that's, like, Spriggan level, and then characters that are right below Spriggan level and right above Spriggan level, just to kind of, like, build an idea of where the power system's set. One of the days, I'll just do, like, some crazy, maybe for, like, 10,000 special. Every character in Fairy Tail tier list maker. Something insane. I would have to make so many extra tiers and really kind of map things out. I'm gonna time out villain. I just saw some Build King slander, and I'm not having that. In timeout, bam. There will be no Build King slander. Making me sad. I'm still sad about that. I genuinely liked Build King. I thought it was fun. I really like the over-the-top weird nature of it. I like stuff that's weird. Like, when Chainsaw Man first came out, one of the first things I really liked about it was that it was strange. Same thing with Undead Unluck. This Candy Flurry series looks really strange. I get very strong Dolly Kill vibes. And I'm hoping that it's a serious manga and not like a gag. Because I saw a little bit of spoilers from it, just a couple panels. I didn't look at any translations or context. But it looks a little bit horror-ish. Not like dark, but like shonen when they try and set up a scary scene, like it actually are willing to get a little crazy. I'm definitely gonna check it out. I'm interested in it. I'm definitely gonna read it when tomorrow rather. So I'm looking forward to that. But I liked Build King. I thought it was a fun story. I would have loved to see where it went. Especially like I wanted to see like construction sites and like crazy monsters and stuff, and some of the big meathead action battles. Let's see, Wendy. Okay, we can do Wendy. Actually, no. Let's save Wendy for a little bit. Because Wendy's a fun one that I think is going to take a little bit more to talk about. Okay, let me look though at let me look at where I'm. This is like a wish list pick. Let's talk about Georg. So Georg will make more sense of where I want to put him, and I'm going to put him up somewhere fairly high up, just because I think that he'll set like a good idea of my hopes for Diablos overall and where I think things are going, but it's gonna really depend on how exactly his first displays are. And with the fact that I don't think that he's weaker than anybody in his guild, I don't think that like Suzaku and the Black Dragon Slayer Knights are below him, just based off of his design and a dragon slaying guild not having the strongest guy on top would feel really strange. But I genuinely think he's S-class. This is my risky pick. Because Suzaku, I can make a very good, strong argument of where he's at. And I'm going to do Suzaku next. But I wanted to talk about Georg. Right, we know next to nothing about Georg. We don't know his dragon slaying type. We don't know exactly when we're going to see him. And we don't know exactly where the people even that work for him kind of like gauge him in strength. But I just think it'd be strange if he wasn't the strongest. The only way that I could see him not being the strongest is if there's one character in the guild above him. Like if he, like, oh, this is like some prodigy dragon slayer that I found, some rare kid that I've been training to surpass me, and he did it. You know, whoever like the ace of the guild is. I don't want it to be anyone other than if they just have one super person. One crazy character that is actually like a threat near the later portions of what's going on. Let's see, Natsu's the strongest currently, excluding Acnologue. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. Let's see. But yeah, what do you guys think about this? Oh, like, Georg. I mean, Georg's, I could easily be wrong, just because, like I said, they could be people stronger than him. A guildmaster doesn't have to be the strongest. And maybe he can end up like God Serena, where he just has raw power and he doesn't have any like good solid hacks, or he's mostly off scaling, where he doesn't get that like fully shine of where he should be. Diablos are more like rivals to Fairy Tail at the moment. Yeah, they're just enemies. They're not like a big problem, and I would gauge after a couple more fights, they'll probably kind of realize that there's just a misunderstanding between them. Makes sense for them to attack them again, because Scully on Madmal said they weren't finished fighting Elfman at Mira. Kyria has her thing for Laxus. The Kyria and Laxus thing, I definitely think is going to happen again. I don't really see the point for having Elfman and Mira Jane fight again against Scully on Madmal, because Scully and Madmal are absolutely stronger. And the fights get screwed when you look at them 1v1. Elfman is all power for the most part. Elfman has like his Were-Tiger, and he's got certain resistances to specific elements like his Sand Beast, but he's almost entirely power. We've seen Elfman actually has some pretty good physical power stats, like when he threw hands with Natsu right after the guild kind of like started to work back together in part 2 before Alvarez. But he is canonically slow. Like, Elfman's weakness canonically is that he is not very fast. When we saw Wall analyze him, a speed-based character was what counters Elfman, the same way that a power-based character counters Lisana. So, Madmal literally just being this big wall, it just screws over Elfman so much. And realistically, Mira Jane cannot beat Scullion. She even worried herself that she wouldn't be able to do anything. And Scullion, if he took her seriously, he would have dusted her right from the start. He didn't take her seriously where he took Grace seriously. Let's see. The ultimate Humongousaur who's able to beat an army of Humongousaurs. Yeah, but I don't know how strong a Humongousaur is. Like, Humongousaur is one of those ones where it's like, I remember him just being like a really strong meathead character. I don't remember anything crazy. How many because like even amongst like Ben's really raw, powerful aliens, like way big is better than Humongosaur. How many Diablos Dragoneers do you think there are? Well, we have the main three. We have the Black Dragon Slayer Knights, which I'm guessing are four. And then we have the two Nibaru and Wraith, and we have Georg. I would guess, I'm kind of hoping for somewhere between like 15 to 20. Because I'm hoping that there are Dragon Slayers that we meet that are a good chunk, like lower than the main trio. Like we can just get new recruits in Diablos, or we can get some more people their level, and not just the big people. Like maybe after this arc, or somewhere during this arc, we'll meet like another one besides the four that we think to be on the mission. The only one that we've seen so far is Suzaku, so is there a reason that maybe we're not seeing them, the other ones? Maybe there's another one we don't know about, or maybe one of them followed them to Ellentir, who knows? Let's see. Yeah, Kyria definitely the weakest. Yeah, because right now she doesn't done anything other than her hypnosis, and that's something you can counter just by closing your eyes and fight. And Dragon Slayers, their whole thing, like their biggest thing is that they have, not their biggest thing, but one of their key factors is the fact they have advanced senses. So it's like closing your eyes, you still have hearing and sense of smell. Let's see. Gray kills demons, Mirror Jane, Black Clover doesn't stand a chance, not even Devil Unionist. I mean, yeah, he counters devils and demons. And I don't want to check. I've been real sad about Ben 10 since that horrible reboot. I don't know if I can watch them. Mirror Jane stomps great. No, she doesn't. Come on, don't be goofy. But yeah, so next person is one of the people I really wanted to talk about today, and that's Suzaku. So Suzaku's weird, because like I said, we don't know fully where the Dragon Eaters rank. Like, we know Kyria is weaker than Laxus, and Scullion level of people are stronger than, I would assume, Gray and, Mirror Jane. I'd assume at least kind of like regular Gray, because Gray doesn't get, his demon slaying boost against Scullion. Scullion's a Dragon Slayer, he's not a Devil Slayer or a demon. As well as he just seems more hacks. But Suzaku is stronger than Scullion. And where like the kind of like general gap I would assume there is between Kyria to Scullion, if there's enough gap between Suzaku and Scullion, then I think it should be pretty formidable, and kind of just like looking at like where the gap between Kyria and Suzaku. And so I personally think that he's at least A. I'm currently in the belief that he's on par with around Laxus, or maybe Natsu excluding Dragon Force. Like, not even talking about them with their Dragon Force. Like, if Natsu had to use Fire Dragon King mode to fight Suzaku, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm seeing him just as a really high placement right now after his hype, his level of presence, the fact that Scullion, he's canonically stronger than Scullion, but he's also enough to make Scullion kind of, get a little nervous. Him and Manuel, just get nervous that Suzaku was, coming along from the journey. Yeah, I saw the reboot ended good. I hope they uncanonized it. You think Suzaku was an enchanter? I don't know. Like, the thing is he gonna have a separate magic outside of dragon slaying? Because it's always a possibility in just the world itself. Because, I mean, you can learn more magics. Natsu knows actually magic outside of dragon slaying magic we just don't see. He knows transformation magic to, like, a low degree. Like, the spin-offs we've seen, or not spin-offs, the extra chapters we've seen, he knows how to do it. It's just not something he regularly does. And he's got, like, this whole soul manipulating, self-soul ability that he got from, that he did after his debate having, because I still don't believe that's thought projection. It's not thought projection, doesn't mess with your soul. But yeah, Suzaku I can see, like, if in the next chapter when Natsu and him are fighting, if he can keep up with Natsu, or if Natsu mentions how powerful he is, that won't surprise me at all. Okay, let's get to... we gotta make this a good, solid setup list. Let's do the Quantum Knights. So the Quantum Knights were from the Dragon Knight movie. They are the 4th generation Dragon Slayers. They're literally just a bunch of golems, like human-sized golems with dragon slaying magic. There's nothing really special about them, except that there's a lot of them. Like, they are... They're literally just like random goons near the end of the series that had some significance because of the fact that they wanted to give them some significance. And I liked what they did. I liked the concept, but they themselves aren't impressive, like, to any degree. There's nothing about the Quantum Knights that did anything to have value. So I just really look at them and say, like, well, let's just kind of hope that the bar sets nicely for, any Dragon Slayers coming beyond them. The robot Dragon Slayer, yeah, they're basically golems. I would love a machine Dragon Slayer. If they could give a machine, like program, do like a wall type thing, but have him program or powered by Dragon Slaying magic and make him essentially a robotic Dragon Slayer. That'd be really cool. Because these guys are more like golems. There's no real personality to them. They're kind of just dumb. Let's tag it on. Let's look at Rogue. So Rogue, Sting and Rogue, like I mentioned, let me put Rogue, and then I'll get Sting, and then I'll get Sting and Rogue. So Sting and Rogue are actually like, it's weird that they are stronger, like, canonically around each other, but it makes sense in the concept of, like, just how magic can multiply in, like, when it's in unison with, like said, unison raid. So, like, them just having, like, this weird dynamic that makes each other, like, themselves stronger just from, adjacency to each other, gives it, like, it has a very logical setup to it that I think I really have always really liked, just because of the fact that you have to understand aspects of their characters and their power system and stuff to understand, like, how it's possible that this, ID even works. Otherwise it'd be like, why does Sting, arguing and standing next to Rogue, why is he stronger? But it has to do with just the fundamentals and structure of, like, how magic works in their series. So shouldn't Urza's Belsarian sword count the list? That would depend. Like, the thing is, I don't think that with 4th gen, it's more of the objects. Like, it would be more, to me at least, counting, or you'd want to rather count Urza's sword as, like, a Dragon Slayer. Because that's where the Dragon Slaying, like, magic, like, resides. It's in the object, not in the person. So otherwise, I would say, like, if you just had, like, the Dragon Slaying object, then maybe that would make you a Dragon Slayer. Like, with 4th gen, if it was explained enough, then we could argue that. It's on the fence for me right now, because I would really enjoy a solidified description of what 4th gen is, and I had that theory for a bit, but it's nothing concrete right now. But yeah, Rogue suffers from not having a lot of feats. Rogue is, like, one of the only like, larger Dragon Slayers without a secret art. Him and Cobra were the only ones that went into the fight with Acnologia without one. Natsu had multiple. You had Crimson Exploding Flameblade. You had Laxus with Extreme Lightning. Roaring Thunder. I always get the name of the chapter and his technique mixed up in my head. Gajiel had his Iron God Sword. Wendy had Milky Way and Sky Drill. Sting had his Holy Nova. Like, Rogue got really shafted, because with Cobra I understood why he wouldn't get one just from not being around a lot. But Rogue had enough, like, he had just as much time just, like, being on screen this whenever Sting was. But also, like, he had a larger value to a degree from the whole Future Rogue thing that you'd think he would have, like, at least enough time to have a secret art, and never did. So I personally think that Rogue is... I think Rogue is stronger than Kyria, but I think he's C-ranked by himself. Whereas with Sting does have actually got, like, a pretty decent moveset, and, like, aspects about, like, his holy magic. Like, his white dragon slaying magic has the light and holy attributes, so it has, it's kind of, like, pretty much a dual... Like, it's like a merging of these two different kind of subtypes. But he's got, like, his whole ability of being able to body lock somebody. Rogue has, like, his whole intangibility, but that can only get you so far. If he could get, like, the body possession, or, like, being able to suck people into the shadows, like Future Rogue did, he probably able to be, like, a good, like, fair-placed B-spot. but he just doesn't have a whole lot to work with, where Sting does. Sting has a lot more, I think, general like moves to work with, and I think Sting by himself, I think, is above Cobra, and somewhere below God's Serena. Whereas Sting and Rogue together is absolutely above God's Serena. I have no doubt that he can have it. In fact, I personally, I personally think that he's above. They're above God's Serena if they're a combo, because they beat Larcade. Because I was gonna kind of look at it being like them in general, but it's like you really have to look at their full capabilities. Sting and Rogue together means that one of them, more than likely Sting, just going off of Sting's the only one that had it, White Shadow Dragon mode with Dragon Force. Like, they're dangerous at just what they can throw at each other. And on top of that, the general boost they around keeping up with Larcade was really powerful. Being able to do anything around Larcade was a huge plus. Is Laxus in the list? Yeah, Laxus is in here. We'll do Laxus next. Where's Future Rogue? I wouldn't really know if I wanted to keep him, just because, like, he's an alternate version. But, I mean, like, even if he was, like, he would probably rank somewhere around, like, Kyria. Because Rogue is definitely stronger than where Future Rogue was. What's up, Gene? How are you doing? How's it going with you today, Gene? I was a little bit indifferent on using it. I kind of wish I did, now that I'm just like, yeah, I would have been one extra person in reality, and he was technically a Dragon Star, but I mean, like, he was an alternate version of Rogue. I can see why I probably should have kept them in here, though, but, or at least put him in. I didn't really consider him that much, because I was just like, just have 2 Rogues. Because there's nothing really that different to talk about with Future Rogue other than White Shadow Dragon mode, and he didn't do a whole lot with White Shadow Dragon mode to kind of justify, like, being anywhere big on this list, whereas Sting fought Larcade, one of the strongest springing. Yeah, let's do actually another one. Elfsaria. Elfsaria, like, we know that he isn't crazy, but I personally would like to believe that he's actually pretty powerful. I'm going to put him, at least as of right now, I think he's stronger than Sting and Rogue. Just based off of Sting and Rogue current feats, like Sting and Rogue, they could easily do something, get more powerful. Something like, but Elfsaria, I feel like Elfsaria is going to have just way more potential of, like, large-scale damage and threat, just off of the fact that he's got, he's got, like, a higher placement in the story right now, but also he's got, but also he's got the fact that he can just kind of go back and forth between being a dragon like it's nothing. So I fully believe that he's gonna end up being like a higher placed dude. Like, but he's kind of like for me, like, in terms of, like, I'm not 100%. He could easily be B tier. He could easily be S tier. But right now, I think, like, a good spot is just kind of putting him, like, in the A, like a Black Lightning mode dragon. Well, we already have red light or red or Black Light Dragon mode. That's what I think that Rogues will be, because I think Stings will be White Shadow and Rogues will be like the flipped of it, where instead it's like Dark Light or something. Whereas Happy, he's a Dragon Son in his own manga. It's that one I really considered put that one in, but it's like a weird, almost reality kind of creation power. That's with like these weird magic tools within the spin-off world. Let's see. I keep smacking my mic by mistake. August copy nods magic. I'm not putting August in here. Alternate universe is something I'm used to. Yeah, I'm kind of like, we could have. He could have been in there, but it's like he would have just been in here to be in here. There would have been nothing really to talk about that's different from Rogue. But like, he has a couple moves that, like I mentioned, Rogue would be really good with, like sucking people into shadows, level of possession, the whole White Shadow Dragon mode boost. But none of it, I think, would really matter. Just from the raw power gap of the characters. Future Rogue was afraid of Ultir. Not afraid, but he was weary enough of her to run away. So he's not messing with any kind of springing, area people at all. Okay. Next, I'm gonna do Nibaru. I'm gonna do Nibaru next. And then Nibaru's feats are pretty good. He has a really strong level of versatility with his magic and control. We've seen his Dragon Force. We've seen, like, it has a very high level of general power of it. But he isn't somebody that is that crazy of a fighter. Like he would be kind of like what I think God Serena would be. So I personally think he'd be somewhere around like right here, because the whole sticky dragon isn't. It's not that dangerous, but it would be really kind of tricky and annoying to fight against. And then with Dragon Force, like it would be kind of like very maneuverable and like have the raw power and danger, but about as much danger as, like I said, with God Serena, where like he could just kind of like continuously eat certain elements to gain stamina and magic back, and then continuously fighting. Whereas I think with Nibiru, he would just be really hard to fight. But there's nothing really that crazy from him. I don't think that he has anything that would put him that wild on this list. Who actually do? Let's do Wendy. Let's get Wendy. I think Wendy's the one that I've been thinking about a lot, because Wendy's like Wendy is one of the most versatile characters in the entire series. She's like one of the most MVP, like legitimately caring characters in the series. It's because she's useful in almost every scenario. And her magic is super widespread in value and in use. But she herself, like, she's powerful, but Wendy's big value isn't in her power. Like, she isn't that raw powerful. It's just the fact that she is pretty, like, she's capable of carrying herself. She has the speed to keep up with people that, people like Natsu, Gajo, Laxus, all these guys, when we saw them in the fight against Technologia. But Wendy's biggest values always come from her enchanting stuff, and she has a lot that she can do with that, like being able to cancel status effects. But Wendy isn't like as pristine of a fighter as as a lot of the people on here, and that just because like a lack of experience. And like what we saw with Nibiru, like he didn't have anything that Wendy could really deal with her enchantments and kind of just large skill set, and it came down to mostly a hand-to-hand raw combat kind of fight, and Nibiru just outclassed her heavily. And it wasn't until like she has like the separation enchantment now, so I think she could fare better in a second attempt, but she hasn't reached her max potential, and she's still rising up. But I think right now I would probably put her currently B, but it's so quick to change, I think, right now, just from Irene being around and being able to teach her stuff. Because like we haven't seen. Oh, my cat is stepping on my keyboard. Cat, will you get off there? She just like came and keeps stepping on stuff. Let me scroll back down. There we go. But yeah, so let me get this cat away from this space bar again. Lay down. Wendy's low S tier. I wouldn't put Wendy as S tier. Like S tier people, again, look at Suzaku, Sting and Rogue at the same time, or not S tier, sorry, like A tier. And then you look at like who's at S tier and who's left that where they're gonna place. Okay, let's look at Irene, because I just talked about Irene. Irene is S tier. I have zero doubt that she's S tier. Irene is a matured Wendy with way more of an arsenal. So when you find out there's a restaurant in our world, there's her name. I mean, yeah, but it's a different color. It would have to be blue. And you might get, like hyped up for it. Yeah, but yeah, Irene is a matured Wendy. She's been Wendy essentially, like if Wendy went through third origin and became like at her prime. She has raw power, way, way stronger. We saw that a fraction of her power completely mauled out Nibiru. Like while he was progressing through Dragon Force. We see her feats casually altering biomes in base, enchanting over 1 million people, pulling meteors from deep space. Like she's extremely powerful. But on top of that, she's very smart and versatile with her magic. So she's like the full picture. She is where I want Dragon Slayers to be at. Irene is the perfect poster woman for that, because Dragon Slayers eventually, like, they'll become dragons and they'll stop aging. And because of that, they have the ability to learn all these other magics. They have the time to master magic. You know, they don't have to, like, look at everything, but they should master at least what they know and what they like and are good at. Irene did that. Acnologia, like, his was more on just the one set that he had, because that's all he really needed. And, he had one goal. He didn't have that free range kind of thought kind of going on. But Irene is where I want, like, other Dragon Stars to eventually kind of get to. Like, Wendy is, and Irene. But Irene is without a doubt S-class. Like, or S-tier in this. Who's next? Next, let's talk about Mad Bull. Mad Bull actually, like, he has some decent feats, like no diffing a base demolition fist. Like, he took that right to the chest and was fine. He's been blocking attacks from Natsu. He had that whole thing I'm still wondering about when he fell back in the water when Natsu was hit and thrown to their boat, and then Mad Bull was falling to the water and then pointed at it and, like, made a platform out of it. I wonder if, like, he can just make the something that isn't hard. Like, he's essentially using the armor aspect, the durability and kind of hardness of it to solidify something that isn't. And I'd be very curious as to where that plays out overall. Like, what kind of power he would, like, where that kind of power like that can really extend to. Like, what kind of just general things can he perform with such a skill? But he's nothing too crazy. He's like a better version of where Kyria's at. I personally would put him. I'd put him above Rogue by himself, because Rogue by himself doesn't really have a way to fight Mad Mole, and Mad Mole has the raw strength that I think he could just fight Rogue. And if this whole ability that he can turn things that aren't solid, he should be able to fight Shadows. So, like, consider this one kind of, like, back and forth. Like, it could easily be like this or be like, be like this. I'll put Rogue in front of him because right now my belief of him being able to, like, solidify the Shadows is it's just a theory. Okay. What's going on, Phil Jones? How are you doing today? Don't worry. This is a pretty light one. How are you doing, though, today? So Wendy has potential to be as strong as Irene when she's older. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Wendy has tons of potential. So Wraith is, in my opinion, has one of the best dragon slaying just descriptions in the whole series. Like, by itself, you are invisible. You can't be seen even by people who aren't dragon slayers. And like I said, if you have an ability, something like what Jacob has, where you can see things that can't be seen, then a selective ability that would apply to it, then you're not going to know he's there. And he can harm people while they can't harm him unless you have an ability to affect ghosts and stuff, which is dangerous. And on top of that, how can he harm you? Soul hacks. Like, he is ridiculous. I personally think that he is A tier, without a doubt. If not more than Sting and Rogue. I like... Theirs is really difficult because I think that they might be able to do something to him. Like, they might be, like... probably pull somebody into Shadows. Like, maybe they can pull somebody into Shadows at that point. You have White Shadow Dragon mode. There's the possibility for that. You can argue, like, Shadows and Holy should be able to affect a Ghost. But he actually has really good feats, really good hacks, and just general abilities that make him dangerous in all aspects. Okay. We've got some of my more favorite ones left. And I can't wait to do this in an update of, like, a couple more dragon slaying feats. Like, maybe we get further into Ellen tier and see more from the Diablos cast, as well as whatever Natsu and Wendy kind of get upgrades with. If we end up getting other dragon slayers brought over to Ellen tier. And then when we start getting other members of the Black Dragon Slayer Knights to get actual feats from Elfsaria and York. It's going to be fun to do this in sections. I'm hoping to get at least 3 versions of this. Laxus should be S tier, A tier. We're going to get to Laxus, don't you worry. So, we'll actually do Laxus now that you want. We'll do Laxus. We're gonna set up the final listing. We're going to do it like this. We're going to do Laxus, Scolion, Acnologia, Gajul, Natsu. Okay. So, Laxus. Laxus has one of the most badass descriptions of any magic in the series. Because what the red lightning essentially is it's dragon lightning with blood applied to it to make, blood dragon lightning. But on top of that, because of the naming and how it's described, is mercury fulminate, so it also chemically explodes when it hits, on top of doing lightning damage. And Laxus wears this, and when he's in red lightning dragon mode, the more damage he takes, the more he bleeds, the more powerful he becomes. Like, he's got the best described magic probably in the series. At least the most badass, I'd say. And just the way that it sounds when you really say it out loud. He's got a really cool magic. He has definite high position. We've seen, like, he's still stronger than Urza. Even after Urza had the swords of both Natsu and Gray's Slayer elements, he, like, in a serious note, pretty much just demolished Kyria. He has a high standing. Laxus is absolutely a big character in terms of, like, his power level, his magic in general. He's got like various lightnings outside his dragon slaying abilities. He has it advanced in his own way with the red lightning. Like, Laxus, at least right now, I would say that he's like the front of A tier. Personally, I think Laxus is at the front of A tier. Right, because for right now, the big divider for, like, some of the strongest, before you get into, like, where, big people and where I see other big people, is, like, these two. Laxus is extremely dangerous just to fight against in general. And on top of that, he's an experienced fighter. He's strong. He's smart. He's got just broken abilities just to use in general. And on top of that, he's got fairy law if he really wants to go down to it. Okay, Scoleon. So Scoleon's probably my favorite member of Diablo so far, him and Suzaku. I really like his dragon slaying magic, corpse dragon. It's like he's got the ash. He turns stuff to ash. He can turn into ash. He's got like an ash teleport. He's going to have probably the coolest dragon force. Like, he's going to be a skeletal dragon. He's going to look so badass. I cannot wait to see his design in play. But Scoleon, canonically, he should be weaker than Suzaku unless he ends up overcoming that gap, before the 100 Years quest is over. Maybe that's a possibility for Scoleon, because Scoleon is like the leader of the main Diablos trio, and the ones that are always shown. They've been in 100 Years quest the most. They're probably going to be in all the arcs, and Scoleon, I would assume, is the leader of that group. So if he ends up overcoming Suzaku, that's one thing. But I personally think that after his defeat of Gray and his ragdolling of Mary Jane, he has to be at least Sting and Rogue level. I'm gonna just put him right here for right now, because I don't know if he can ash their magics, because like he says that anything that has shape he can turn to ash. But he's also done it to fire, so I'd wonder if he could do it to, Dragon Light and Shadow. I really would like to know where that is. Like, as much as cool as Suzaku is, I think Scoleon will have more long game presence. There's the possibility Suzaku can match that, because it seems like Mishimo likes Suzaku and probably wants to keep him around a bit, because he decided to introduce him as a much nicer guy, and that's usually a good sign of just like, yeah, I want people to like the character and see them, around a little bit. Just kind of, make them more comfortable in their entrance. Okay, next up, a fan favorite, we have Gagil Red Fox. Now, Gagil, unfortunately, hasn't really gotten a permanent power-up in a long time. Like, he got his Iron Shadow Dragon mode, great power-up. Like, he has a history of, unfortunately, getting the shaft. He wasn't in the Erasion Sace arc. Amazing arc. He was out most of the Sirius Island arc. He didn't get to fight Hades, unfortunately. He did get the Iron Shadow Dragon mode in Grand Magic Games, which is amazing. It was badass, really cool. As cool as Lightning Flame Dragon is, I think Iron Shadow Dragon is just a little bit more badass in concept, and it's just the fact that he had like a really cool, more unique form. I'd say like Natsu has there's fire with the lightning all clad around it. Looks badass, because his looks more of your. He's just using them at the same time, whereas Gagil's is like they're merged. He's got the shadows that have like the reflective nature on it, as you see in the anime. But also his hair is in that shadowy design. It looks great. He didn't really get anything in permanent in Tartaros, because he had the steel form change, but he didn't keep that. That was something that was closer, I would assume, to maybe like Natsu eating Zenkro's God Flames. It was just a temporary thing. Like it seems that eating dragon elements is different. Like I still got to do the video on that, but he didn't really get anything permanent in Alvarez because he got his Dragon Force, but as far as we know, it didn't stick. He didn't learn it since then. He just had it for the one time. But his value, really, I think his stocks in his power level and capabilities is really going to depend on like if Mishima actually has any plans for him going forward. Is he going to get Dragon Force? Is he going to maybe get a different magic outside of Dragon Slaying? Because there's like the potential that maybe he learns Command T from Brandish and just learns how to make himself big. Because it would fit Godjil's character. It'd be such a simplistic yet super useful power-up bonus if he could just make himself bigger. But I think that'd be like actually a really logical thing for him to do, because he doesn't have to learn Command T down to its complex levels. Literally just applying your magic to yourself to make yourself big. Like that can't be too complicated of like a skill to learn. But it's different where he's like Brandish, as long as she knows Brandish, she can like affect stuff inside people's bodies. We know that if she wanted to, she can make someone's intestines like come giant and explode. So I would put Godjil right now. I'd put Godjil probably about right here. I think if God Serena had like the better moveset, then he would probably be above Godjil, but I put Godjil above him because Godjil does have the intangibility. He's got some pretty good solid feats. He's got the speed feats that would mean that he should be fine against God Serena. But it's like some of these other guys, like he has zero way of hurting Wraith. He's like Scoleon is gonna completely just grab the back of his head and dust him. It would just be a bad fight for him in general. Natsu isn't Chad. He's the GOAT. And speaking of, Natsu Dragneel. So Natsu, I like, if we were looking at Natsu maybe prior to two specific fights, he wouldn't rank that kind of crazy. But when you look at something like, one, his fight with Zeref, and two, his fight with Alderaan, Natsu's Dragon Force is such an unfair bonus that he has for right now. It's like Wendy has Dragon Force, but Wendy's isn't nearly as much of a boost because she does hers for more of the long game. Whereas when Natsu goes Dragon Force, he's like plans to burn through that within the next couple moves and then take down his opponent. That's his last ditch effort. And I would probably put him like below Laxus if it was like just Fire Dragon King mode. I think that Laxus being stronger than Natsu Fire Dragon King mode currently makes sense to me. But personally, I think Natsu is above and into S tier right now. I'm not talking about his Ethereal Dragon Force and he fought with Mercer, but just Dragon Force. I think that right now he might be below Georg. Because, like, he might be able to, like, fight Georg. Like, Georg might be able to fight him stat-wise. It would really come down to, like, what his Dragon Slaying hacks is, whatever his perks are, and more tricky, unfair abilities are. Like, Natsu's really strong. The thing that makes Natsu so dangerous when it comes to, like, his moveset, not talking about, like, his fighting capabilities, like, his constant, like, he's fought and countered, like, a bunch of people, and that's more of, again, an experience kind of bonus. But his hacks and like where his fire can get to with the whole Savage Dragon Fire burning concepts and stuff is extremely impressive. So like if he can get to stuff like that, then he can, blow through these guys and just destroy him. He can just completely obliterate people like elfary and people like Irene. But Irene is like a good example of where that differs. Whereas like Natsu has like one really good hacks, that's just unfair if he can get you. Irene has a ton, and on top of that, she's really smart and very versatile at how she uses it. So I think Natsu right now is somewhere like around here. I like my placing for elfary or for Georg is a little bit hopeful. Oh, I think this is a little bit better of a spot for him right now, just because like his is based off of guesses and kind of some estimations, but who knows. And last but not least, I mean, let's look at some of these Natsu folds. Irene, absolutely. No, she doesn't. Do we not see, like, a fraction of Irene take down in Dragon Force Nibiru? Like, the thing about Irene is you have to keep in mind, Irene isn't just where she's at, but based off her raw power level. She has busted enchantments, and she has a massive arsenal of ways to use them.
Like, she has the ability to just to completely push somebody's magic out of their body, and just take out their ability at its base. Like, Natsu is dangerous, but like he doesn't know. Like, we don't know like how well he's gonna do against that. There's always the fact that he might be able to burn her enchantments before they take full effect, but Irene is just so dangerous to fight against. Like, it would be really screwy. I mean, yeah. I mean, really, when we're looking at S tier, we're looking at Acnologia. Acnologia, we know, is the dominant top guy of the series. And on top of his busted magic dragon slaying attribute, and even says it's not an attribute, it's more of like a domination over the the whole idea of an attribute. But he's also got soul hacks that we never really see, but we know he did do when he defeated the dragons. I've already said this about Natsu and then talking about like Irene and stuff, but she again has the array of enchantments that she can fight Natsu. What can Natsu do if she can just push the magic out of her body? What can Natsu do if she has the capability of just separating or canceling like any of his forms and like buffs and stuff? She has the potential maybe even to cancel something. Like what if she has like with separation enchantment, she can separate something like lightning flame dragon mode and take out the lightning aspect to it. Like, she's just unfair. She's unfair to like a high degree, whereas like Acnologia's example of just like you have to be so much more powerful just to completely overrun somebody's utility and kit. Like, she's really dangerous, but Acnologia is just bigger. Acnologia needs his own category. Yeah, there should have been some like super monster one. Ether Nano Dragon Slayer. Actually, my original theory was that or idea for God's Serena is that he could have been a Ethereon Dragon Slayer, because he could have combined all his different Lacrima elements and made Ethereon, which would have been really cool. Anyway, I'm going to call it good. We're a little over an hour. I wanted to make this a quick stream. We are going to be doing another stream on Tuesday. I talked about it before. My plans are that I'm going to be doing... I'm going to be doing... Saturday streams weekly, and then 100 Years Quest chapter days. I'm going to do streams on talking about those chapters, and we'll be able to have the Eden Zero and Four Nights of the Apocalypse chapter as well. It'll be after the weekly Shonen Jump stuff on top of that. But yeah, other than that, though, I'll just do a quick kind of closing. And if you guys got any more last minute comments, I'll just say, like, I really appreciate the people showing up. We got 35 people in here. Any form of donations, any form of tips, through super chats are appreciated, not required. Thanks everyone that is subscribed and for liking the stream. And I hope everyone has a really solid weekend. I look forward to the Tuesday stream, because that's where my hype. I'm gonna make that one a bit of a longer stream. This one is a shorter one, just because I wanted to do something short and fun for today. And then on Tuesday, we'll aim for it'll be more of like a 2-hour plus stream, because we'll have that chapter. As long as the chapter doesn't pull away from freaking a dragon slaying like Natsu versus Suzaku fight, then we're good.